6 years ago, I was impatient to see some of our kids catch up. We had way too many kids way behind in school. We went looking for a proven program that had measurable results, and we found one at the Boys and Girls Club called the Power Hour. We brought it to Indiana. It's in about 70 clubs now. Thousands of kids have been through it. And as I said to Mandy, the director upstairs, every 2 or 3 months when they bring me the data, my only question is, are we sure it's this good? They have been getting spectacular results now. Thousands of kids have averaged a grade and a half to 2 grades of improvement in math and reading through the work of the clubs. And believe me, I think it's the best money that the state spends. It's very affordable. Gabby here, for instance, told me that she was way behind in reading, and now she's at or ahead of grade level. Sierra upstairs told me she used to get a lot of F's, and she's had all A's and B's in the last couple of report cards. So whenever I'm near a club, I like to just stop in, and I always see the same thing: fabulous staff and volunteers using really a simple but a very effective program, and we measure the results, and they are tremendous.
Well, here in about 6 months or so, you might have a little extra time to come and do some more of these tours and everything. What are your plans when Pence or Greg kind of take over that governor spot?
I don't have any plans. I've never been, I hate to admit this around young people, but I've never really been a career planner. And every so often the phone rings and it's something interesting on the other end. And I've just sort of followed the opportunities where they presented. So I'm assuming the phone will ring at least one more time. But don't ask.
What about from Romney? Do you think that vice presidential run still in the cards, maybe?
I hope not. It's not. It's just not something I'm looking to do. So if I thought that was coming, I might disconnect the phone for a while.
I guess Governor Daniels, maybe a little bit closer to home. Obviously, we just had the primary. Talking about the U.S. Senate seats.
Yeah.
You obviously supported Lugar.
Uh-huh.
Kind of looking back now, it's certainly definitely a good decision to get behind him rather than Murdoch, or?
Well, these are both good men. They've both been friends and allies. But when Richard Murdoch came a long time ago and told me he was going to run, I said, good. Competition is a good thing. I said, in this case, I have a virtually lifelong association with Senator Lugar. He taught me so much. He really inspired me both in public life and business. He's godfather to one of my daughters. So I said I would have to, vote for him and help him if he asked. And Richard understood that from the get-go. But he's our nominee now. He won it fair and square. And the very next morning, I happily offered to help him if I can.
Now back to,
I was going to say, obviously, Tea Party had a lot to do with Richard Murdoch's support. What is your thoughts on the Tea Party?
Well, I mean, I think that it's been a healthy phenomenon. Get some additional people involved in politics. That's always a good thing. I think it estimates Richard Murdoch, though, not to recognize on the day he announced, he had 2/3 of the regular Republican county chairmen already supporting him, and he added more later. He's been elected twice statewide in the last 6 years, and so he is very much a favorite of the regulars in our party, and then he attracted some more folks, the folks we call the Tea Party too.
now back to education.
Yeah.
There are some teachers across the state that are getting pink slips. Do you think that these programs here at the Boys and Girls Clubs and at other clubs, do you think that will help balance that out, or how do you think that goes hand in hand?
Well, first of all, every year some teachers are notified that there's a question about their job, and in the fall we always have more teachers, not fewer. So I'm predicting that the vast majority those folks will still be working in the fall. Second, we have districts which are shrinking, and when you have far fewer students, sadly you don't need as many teachers. But we have added spending to education. We're going to have full-day kindergarten this fall, universal in Indiana. It's something people have been after for a long time. We got that done, and we are, I think, looking forward to the best years in Indiana education we've ever seen. The new reforms that are in place are already showing very positive results. Dropout rates have gone way down because of a bill we passed a few years ago. So we got a long way to go. We're going to need the best efforts of everyone, most importantly, teachers. But clearly we're headed in the right direction now. And programs like the Mitch's Kids program, we're just trying to get young kids to the starting line on an even basis. Whereas before, a lot of them were starting off way behind, and even great teachers had trouble catching them up.
And what about charter schools? There have been some reports showing that they have been underperforming. I guess what are the plans for that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, charter schools generally start with the most challenged areas, and they start with kids who have, for some reason, not been succeeding in the ordinary public schools. And some of our great success stories are happening in charter schools right now. But one thing that's good about them is if they don't work, you can switch them out and get those kids into a better situation, which is an improvement over the old model where we told families where their kid would go to school and there was no choice.
Not to switch gears again, but President Obama just came out with being in favor of gay marriage. What is your stance on that issue? It's a hot topic right now.
Well, I have no change. I always said I favored the traditional definition of marriage personally, and I think it's the decision of the people in every state. Different states may choose a different path there, but I think they should be free to do that and should not be dictated to by Washington.
So my other question, talking about presidential race on Monday. Well, I guess I should step back for a second. President Obama was attacking Romney, saying that in regards to his support, big capital's investments in some of the steel companies, and actually Romney had come back with a video basically touting how successful right here in Indiana Steel Dynamics is.
Yeah.
Kind of your thoughts on that?
Steel Dynamics is a great success story, and we're enormously proud of them. They've hired Hoosiers now in virtually every corner of the state. With regard to firms like the one Governor Romney was involved with, they are really important, positive factors in the economy. They're not every business that they buy will they be able to turn around, but when they do turn one around, it's a big upside success story. So Steel Dynamics is a great example, one of those.
What would be like the word of it? I know when it's over the past couple of years, or especially over the past year, Lamar was talking about education. That's definitely a lot for the state.
Yeah.
Other states certainly look towards Indiana.
Right.
As an example for education, what would be your words of advice for the next governor to kind of continue that?
Oh, press on, absolutely, and try now to implement, the groundbreaking reforms that we have brought to Indiana. They'll only be as good as the implementation. So now schools are much more free to manage their affairs. Insist that they do that, make them accountable. We have now teachers will be protected and promoted based on their performance, not just their seniority. Make sure that really happens. Families have many new choices now, public schools, charter schools, non-government schools. Make sure they know about those choices, because many still do not. And now that we have a law that says children should learn how to read before they go to 4th grade, make sure that we're not fudging, that we're really getting them ready. All these things. Putting much better laws and rules on the books has put Indiana in front in terms of a reform. But it's the results that finally count. Nothing else really matters. And they've started to improve, but the next governor's got a huge job to do and the next superintendent to make full advantage of the new opportunities that have been created.
Now, it's my understanding, Oakwood Academy out of Indianapolis is kind of sparked Mitch's Kids. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Well, honestly, this program, again, which is called the Power Hour, where it operates in other states. I didn't name it, by the way. The Boys and Girls Clubs embarrassed me by putting that name on it, but was already an established program when we brought it to Indiana. And again, I was impatient. We had too many kids behind in reading and math, and so we didn't want to try to invent a new program or pilot a new program. I said somebody out there has got an efficient, affordable program that has measured results. And after a little research, we found the Power Hour and brought it here. But I do hear great things everywhere it operates, not just from the clubs, They're excited about the progress of kids like Gabby, but from the schools, now the kids that they were worried about are on grade level or ahead. Now kids that they were struggling to catch up have suddenly done so.
I have one more local question.
Sure.
How realistic do you think it is to actually save the 122nd Air Guard base here in Fort Wayne at this point from those defense budget cuts? I know there's not a lot of optimism around it at the current time.
Yeah, I can't put a probability on it. I think that this is not an Indiana issue. This is an everywhere issue, and all the governors that I know of have supported the argument that says, yes, make the reductions, but not in the Guard, which is a more affordable place to have the same degree of air power and firepower. But the Air Force obviously doesn't see it that way, and I'd love to tell you that I think that argument's been getting through, but as far as I know, they've been pretty resolute about doing it their way. Let me just say again, we're for what's best for the United States of America. Right now, starting to reduce these crushing debts that are going to be an unbelievable problem for kids like this if we don't do something, is the right thing to do. So nobody is saying spend more money. They're just saying there's a smarter way to spend less in the Air Force, and I'm hoping that sooner or later that argument will win out. All right, thank you guys. Thanks a lot.